So today, Emily and I are going to present on self-service and how we brought power back to the user. I'm Jeff Shupp. I'm a systems developer engineer for The Ohio State University. I've had about a 1-year experience as this. 1 year. Talk louder. There. All right. So I'm Jeff Shupp. I'm a systems developer engineer for The Ohio State University. I've had about 1 year experience as a ServiceNow developer and 3 years of web development experience outside of that.
My name's Emily Smith. I'm also a developer for OSU. I've had about 3 years experience with the ServiceNow platform and 5 in web development. We have a link directly to our self-service. It is go.osu.edu/IT if you want to look at it while presenting. So today we're going to talk about what is self-service and what is its value, how we made it mobile and why that's so important, giving the power back by empowering the user, some lessons we learned from our rebranding, and then some time for questions.
So a little bit about where we're from. So again, the Ohio State University. We were founded in 1870 as a land-grant university. We have a little over 90,000 as our user base, 60,000 of which are students, 6,000 of which are faculty, and 20,000 are non-academic staff, such as Emily and myself. We're the 3rd largest campus in the United States, and we have to support 5 branch campuses that aren't in Columbus. We also may have won a championship recently. You may have heard of us. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is self-service, so we can get a basis of what we're talking about today. So the best way I found to kind of explain it is with a gas station. So here in Las Vegas, if you pulled up to a gas station or you went to the gas station, you may have seen the word self up top of the pump. So that stands for self-service. So back in the day, when I would pull up to the gas station, an attendant would run out, he'd pump my gas, he'd check my oil, he'd do all this stuff for me, which is cool, that's awesome. But if somebody pulled up behind me while he was doing all that, now they have to wait. And then if another couple pulls up, you got a line forming. So there's really a bottleneck right there at that gas station attendant. But by alleviating that, and allowing people to pump their own gas, you kind of help out the user, you get it faster and more efficient. Now, there is a distinction between self-service and automation. Again, at the car wash, or at the gas station, car wash. Back in the day, if I wanted my car washed, I'd pull it up, and a bunch of people would have to rush out and wash it by hand. Now, I can just pull it up to this machine and latch it in, and it'll pull through and wash my car with little to no human interaction. So automation is not self-service. While self-service can use automation, it's not automation. The next, it's standardized. When I go try and pump my gas, there's really only 3 steps I need to do. I need to pay, I need to select my grade, and I actually pump it. And no matter where I go, what state, it doesn't really matter what time or day, it's always going to be those 3 steps. And that makes me feel very comfortable, and it's really fast for me because I know what to do. Like, it's not going to change suddenly, and there's not going to be new steps added. It's the same everywhere. It's also cost effective. So from a business point, that's really important. 2002, Forrester Research did a study, and they found the following. And you can see the first 4 really rely on somebody to interact with the customer. They're relying on that attendant, that person. It's bottlenecked right there. And you see all those are whole dollar amounts. The very last one, web self-service, you can't even see the blue. It's 10 cents per contact. So having a well-running, efficient self-service is really, really cost-effective. It's really nice. So business benefit. Lastly, you need to strike a balance. So back at the gas station, if something goes wrong at the pump and I can't find that attendant anywhere, I'm not going to like that. That's bad. Like, I'm not going to come back because I don't feel valued there. So you got to strike that balance between, yes, customers, you can do all these cool things, but if you need me, I'm right there.
So the next question was how we made it our own. And we had a couple guidelines with doing that. And the first was to know our user base. So we have about 90,000 people on campus, and only, I believe, 400 have ITIL access. So when designing self-service, we really wanted to design for that remaining 88,000. And with that, it had to have very easy to understand language, a very universal feel, because those people probably aren't going to know ITIL principles or ServiceNow. So we wanted to be very customer friendly. With that, we're a university, we're not a corporation. So we don't really have any standard of a device you have to have. We have to accept everything. So any device someone brought to campus, we wanted them to have that same standard experience, and with that being very mobile friendly. We wanted it to be actually useful. So what do people need to do to get in and get out and get the help they need? And for us, we really wanted to focus on managing people's tickets so they can get in and update their records and find out what's going on, browse our service catalog, and check out our system status page and see what outage or degradations we may have going on right now. We also integrated with our Buckeye Bar, which is our person-to-person help desk. They do things like virus removal, mobile email configuration, Wi-Fi. It's basically like the tech hub for campus, so anyone can go and get help with their computers. So we post the wait times on our self-service, which really helps manage the expectation for that service, because people can know how busy it is, how long it'll take for them to get helped, and it'll help them be more aware so they don't get as frustrated when they're actually at the line and have to wait for quite some time. We also allow people to check in early, which the hope for that is that we would alleviate some stress on the help desk and migrate that responsibility to the user so that they can check in for themselves and the help desk has more time to actually help people. Lastly, we also wanted to focus on analytics. So we use Google Analytics for this project. We really wanted to see what paths people were taking, if they were efficient, and if they were getting the help they needed efficiently. And then what pages that we think are valuable, but no one was really using. And is that because they're not valuable, maybe need revisited, or they're so buried no one can find them? So our solution for this was to use CMS, which is ServiceNow's content management system. It's a nice way to establish a web presence through your ServiceNow. You can build really robust and repeatable content very easily. I would say CMS is the lens into ServiceNow. It really consumerizes from IT down to a broader audience. So we're going to go through and show some of the screenshots from our instance of what built our self-service as far as ServiceNow record keeping. At the very top level, you have a site, which is where you define some basic things such as URL parameters, meta tags, layout, theme, homepage, title, things like that. With that one site, you have one theme. And the theme is nice because it controls all the style sheets for your site. So you don't have to worry about adding them in each page. ServiceNow does it for you. This one theme holds everything, so you really don't have to worry about it. If you were to look at an individual CSS file, our self-service is 18. It's pretty much standard what you expect from a web interface. It's a CSS file, the name, the versions, and any themes it's currently included on. Next are pages. Pages would be something like an index record or contact us, that kind of thing. Very similar to site, where you define very high-level information, such as URL and title. But the really important thing is the content blocks, and that's what pages are made out of. So content blocks hold all of your HTML, maybe a little bit of CSS for just that page, or a little bit of JavaScript. And lastly, we had UI pages and UI scripts. Those are not housed under content management. They're actually housed under system UI. But we use them for some search functionality for UI pages, and UI scripts are where you house your JavaScript files. So anything we made that was reproducible that we wanted to use on multiple places, we put it there. So this is a timeline of our project. We initially launched our ServiceNow instance in 2009. In 2010, we had our first self-service, which was really just one landing page off-site on a server that would collect a bit of information from a user and submit one form to an email to ServiceNow that would create a record. So very, very basic. In 2012, we launched our first self-service, which is using the CMS, and that was very well received. So in 2014, Jeff and I did our rebranding to update it with the new OSU look and become mobile. The whole project, I think, had about 6 developers over the course of time, but only ever 2 at a time.
All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is how we made it mobile. We have over 90,000 people, professors and students, who are running between classes. They got 15 minutes to do what they need, and they're not going to be on their laptops or desktops doing this stuff. So making it mobile was very key for us. So here, we used Bootstrap 3.0 as our kind of solution for this. It's really easy to use. It's very easy to implement and read. And the very nice thing about it is that it looks the same on most devices. So if I'm on my Windows desktop or my iPhone, it's going to look the same. So here you can see some Bootstrap code down here. Out of the box, Bootstrap defines 4 screen sizes: large for desktop, laptop; medium for tablet, landscape; small for tablet, portrait; and extra small for mobile devices, so cell phones. And you can see I can control this div based on the screen size, thus making it responsive, exactly what we needed. So one thing we did find out while we were doing this is you need to play nice with ServiceNow CSS. So Emily and I started our project, our rebranding, in January of 2014, and we were on the Calgary release. And when we first went to our mobile website, CSS did not render whatsoever. It was just a bunch of bulleted lists, and it was gross. So we upgraded to Dublin a few months after that, and lo and behold, there it goes. It looks awesome. So we're really happy with that. And then we released in July. A few months after that, we upgraded to Eureka. So with Eureka, you all know, it came with UI 14, a really big upgrade to ServiceNow CSS. So buttons change, forms change, all that kind of stuff. It kind of bled through into our self-service, so all of our buttons changed, all of our forms changed, and that was not good. It didn't look good whatsoever. So to remedy this, we went into the CSS file that we got from Bootstrap, and we found all the relevant code and copied it to a new file. So with ServiceNow, you can't control the order in which CSS files are loaded. So CSS file loaded at the bottom will overwrite stuff loaded before it. So we can't control that. We can't. So we made a new file, and we put all the relevant code in with this important tag. And what the important tag does, it says, I don't care what order I was loaded in, you render this, regardless. So that was our solution to UI 14, and I know when we upgrade to Fuji, we're gonna have to do it again.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go through the screen sizes to show you what it looks like for a responsive design. What does it do? What does it mean? So this is our front page. It's just our self-service page. So 2 things to kind of note when we go through these screen sizes: the 4 buttons at the bottom, and the nav bar up top. So you can see everything's nice, spaced out, nice and even. It looks good. There's no left-right scrolling. So now if we go to a tablet, boom. All the 4 buttons have resized, kind of taking the forefront. And some of the nav links have gone under this new heading. And again, we're trying to eliminate that left-right. So when I look at it on a tablet, I don't have to do the pinchy thing and zoom in or do any of that. It's right there, very easy. So now, if we go to a mobile, this is kind of the top half of it. Again, 4 buttons have resized themselves, so they're in a vertical line now. And all of the nav bar links have gone under this trident white button thing. All the same functionality is there. You have not been forced to a different site. It's all the same site. It's just made to fit your phone. So that's the bottom half.
So the next phase for us in being mobile friendly was to get rid of iframes. Iframes are ServiceNow's method of displaying forms and actual ServiceNow content. They're very easy to implement and use. The problem is when you get down to a mobile size, they can be a little hard to read, and they're a little busy. So you get that left-right Jeff was talking about that we wanted to avoid. Plus, going back, we're designing for non-ITIL, so we wanted to have a very much universal look, and the ServiceNow interface was a little bit more complicated than we wanted for students. So our solution for that was to make custom HTML forms using Glide Ajax and JavaScript. For those of you that do not know, Ajax is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It's a nice way to run server-side code without having to refresh the page. And ServiceNow actually implemented a Glide Ajax class, which is very easy to use with Glide Record. It's very fast and not a lot of degradation there, which is nice. The problem with creating your own forms is you take on the responsibility of security. So ACLs check all that information for you, all the ACLs in iframes. And once you create your own forms, it's not going to do that. So you have to make sure in your code you're writing to make sure that they can't access things that it shouldn't be, or writing to fields and records they shouldn't have access to. So it's just extra consideration to take. With that, since you're making custom forms, you want to make sure you're not putting garbage in your system, so you want to sanitize your data. The nice thing is ServiceNow will also handle that for you. They have a plugin called HTML Sanitizer, which will handle cleaning input. Any instance, Eureka and beyond, has it standardly enabled, but we started pre-Aspen, so we had to turn it on, I think in Calgary, and it turned on fine. There was no issues. So we're going to look at a closer view of our solution and then the existing ServiceNow iframe. So this is an item on the left that Jeff ordered through self-service. You can see it's cut off on in the half. It's very busy. And as a student or a professor, you may not know right away where to go to enter comments. So for our solution, we really wanted to be very streamlined and simple. So we only gave them a few fields, which was item number, short description, the date they ordered the record, the current assignment group, the current state, button at the bottom. Yeah, button at the bottom to cancel if you no longer want it. The previous comments section will show any comments either the agent or the user has made, and then a button to add comments and submit. So this is the code behind the front end. This is a JavaScript function that is called when you click the blue submit button. And all it's doing is grabbing those comments the user may have made, and then it's going to make a glide AJAX call. And with that, it's going to pass a couple of parameters. So it's going to check the action, whether it was update or cancel, the sysid of the record they're trying to update, and any comments they made. And then it's just going to sit and wait for a response from the server. So this is the actual ServiceNow piece, which is glide AJAX. Glide AJAX is stored under script includes. So this is basically doing the opposite of what you just did. It's grabbing all those parameters, and it's going to try and find that record. So if you look at line 10, that's where we're actually finding where, if they're allowed to write to this record. So var record equals new glide record secure. Glide record secure is a child of glide record. And glide record is what you use to pull information out of ServiceNow and query and get tables and get records. So when you add that extra secure piece, that actually enforces ACLs. So it checks when querying, can this user write to this record, and can they read it? And when it returns it, it's only going to return fields they actually have access to, so they're not going to be able to see things they shouldn't be. That solution worked for us. It made it a little bit easier to implement, built a little bit less code, but some of our solutions, you had to be a little more specific with reading and writing. So for that, you can also use can read and can write security functions. I think they're on the wiki. And those are also pretty easy to implement, but they're really useful for making sure you're not giving them too much information. So next, lines I think 12 through 19, we're going to check, can we find the record? Was it a valid record? If so, if the action was canceled, update the state to close canceled, add any comments they may have made to the record, and then update it and send back the successful response. So here's the whole picture. I think it's only about 30 lines of code, so it's really not a lot of extra work to provide a really nice experience for your customer. So while we were talking about technology, I wanted to mention Jelly, which is really the powerhouse of your self-service. Jelly is executable XML. It's used to render forms, lists, and basically just get any information out of ServiceNow. You're going to need Jelly to do it. So as an example, I have an outage record from our ServiceNow instance, and the black is a bit of streamlined code from our system status page. So the goal of the code is to just show all current outages happening right now. So lines 1 through 4 are the actual gevaluate Jelly, which is going to query the outage records and say, give me all outages happening right now. And once g.query is run, it'll return an array of all current outages that you can then manipulate. So lines 7 through 11 are your actual HTML. And the JWhile statement is then going to print out, for each element in that array, the service name that's having the issue, the type, whether it's degradation or outage, and then the time the event began. I would say Jelly is definitely the most important thing for us when we first started. We learned from the wiki. It was pretty good, one of the better articles, I would say, but it's definitely where you need to start for designing a self-service.
So next, we needed to address how did we give the power back to the user? How did we enable them to do things for themselves in a quick, efficient manner? Before we had a self-service, we really had a lot of complaints from users and a lot of comments saying, hey, I need help and I need help quick. I tried calling the service desk, but it's like an hour wait. I don't want to sit on the phone for an hour. I need help. Or where do I get information? Where is it? Do you have a website? Do you have a paper document or something? Or I want to keep up to date with your services. I know last year you had this thing. Do you still have it? What's new? What new services have you been adding? And with that, are they up or down? I can't connect to the network. Is it my computer or is it the network? How can I check? So we really wanted to address all these issues, and we tried to do it in 2 different ways, helping people get help We want to provide multiple ways for people to get help, depending on their urgency and what they wanted to do. And we also wanted to provide easy, quick access to our KBs. Because I know me, I would like to try and do it myself before I contact somebody. So if I had access to these articles, I could try and help myself before I ask somebody else to do it. And then we also want to be transparent and visible. So we want to show people, hey, these are our services. This is what's happening. These are all the things that come with it. This is the SLA. This is the price, that kind of stuff. And also, this is the status of it. It's up, and it's been up for 90 days or something like that. And it also kind of helps keep service owners accountable because this is public information now. People can see this, and they're not going to like it if it's down a lot. So when we were doing this portion, we kind of try to find or follow usability, like user usability, and we use these 5 E's as kind of, we just kept them in mind while doing this. So the first part, getting help. Here we have our Get Help page. We have 5 different ways to do it. We have a phone number there. If I was on my phone and I clicked it, it would call that number. So right there, I can get help at the service desk. I can also submit a request a callback from our service desk, check in on our person-to-person help desk, the Buckeye Bar, or chat online with an agent. So I was a Fortin student once, and I would absolutely hate to call in. I'm going to be on a phone, so I can't hear you very well. You're going to talk really fast, and then I'm going to be really nervous, so I'm not going to say the right things. So if I had this online chat feature, that would have been awesome, because I could have Google Translate open, so I can know exactly what you're saying, and then when I say something back, I know it's right. So having these multiple ways for multiple people is really, really helpful. So we're going to go to our Get Help form. Again, simple, simple, simple. It's not that many lines. So you have to be authenticated to actually see this page. So we can already grab some information about you, like your username, your phone number, and your email. But we leave those editable. So if I'm making this request on behalf of somebody else, or there's better contact information from my phone or email, you can still change that. And then we only really require 2 more things, just a short description like, hey, just what's up, and then a category if you could categorize it. It doesn't have to be right, just a quick what do you think, and then you can submit it. You're done. In and out as fast as possible. So you can also add more comments down at the bottom, attach a file if you want, but really you only need to do 4 or 5 things before you can submit this. Next is our KB. So here's the KB front page. We have all of our categories there. So if I just kind of know generally what I want, I can click on those. We have search functionalities on the right. So you can search the entire KB, or you can specify what category. We have most popular articles, just articles other people found helpful. Your recent searches. So ServiceNow actually records what you search in the KB, which I thought was creepy, but you can see it there. It's awesome. It's cool to pull from. And then going back to that balance I was talking about, striking that balance between, yeah, you can do all this cool stuff, but if you need help, I'm there. Down at the bottom, if I've been searching the KB and I just cannot find that article I want or need, I can request a new KB article be made. So that'll send off a generic request to our knowledge base managers, and it'll just say, hey, I want to, I think this would be helpful. Please make this. It'd really help me out. So keeping that balance there. Now, if we were to click on one of these categories, this is what it would look like. These are all the KBs under Account and Identity Management Services. If I were to search, it would say search results for blah, blah, blah. So you can see we display the short description up top. The first, I'd say, 4 or 5 sentences out of the actual KB article itself. The category, so if I was searching in general, it'd probably be a bunch of different categories. The KB number, the publish and modify date, so I know when was this published. Have you guys been keeping this up? Is this relevant? Should I be looking at this or no? And again, keeping with that standard look, the search most popular articles and your recent searches are still on the right. So if I were to click on a KB, this is kind of what it would look like. That's pulled straight from the WYSIWYG of the KB article. There's no transformations or anything like that. It's just straight up there. So, and we still have the search functionalities on the right. We also wanted to let people share our KB articles and kind of spread the word about them through people. We have 4 different ways you can share. There's a quick link there that you can copy and paste. So if I'm IMing somebody or texting somebody, I can copy and paste it and send it off, just like that. We also have a button for email. So if I click on that, it'll open my default email client, and I can send it to whomever. So if I'm a teacher and I think this will help my students, boom. If I'm a manager, I think it'll help my employees, there you go. We also integrated with Facebook and Twitter. It's very easy. They have really easy APIs. And mass media is out there, social media is out there, why not use it? And this is also a good point to kind of contact your marketing communications team and kind of get together with them. If they already have a Facebook page or a Twitter account, you can integrate there. The next piece is feedback. We want to make sure we're producing quality articles. So we allow people to leave feedback on our articles. There's a little box there where you can put comments. You can rate it using ServiceNow's star system. You can flag it. You can just say yes, no, or no, I need help, and click any of those links just to let us know. It's really there to let us know, are we doing a good job? Some people use it. I haven't seen it used a ton, but people use it. So it's a nice feature to implement. So both those ways, getting help and knowledge base, we really try to streamline the process and get information to you or get information out as fast as possible.
So next is our service catalog. This is pulled from the service offerings table. It's a nice way to connect consumers with providers, provide more visibility, and hopefully more business. You can see it's very similar to KB. We wanted that similar structure and universal look to our site. We allow quick and easy searching on the right, so you plug in any keyword and it'll crawl through all the service offering records and give you back a pretty fast list of any relevant services. You could also delimit the list using role-based. So we have 4 buttons up top, all, student, faculty, staff, and OCIO/ODE. And that'll kind of show you what are the student services or maybe faculty services. So that's nice if you just want things that are just relevant to you. We also grouped everything together in similar categories, which you'll see pretty similar categories through our entire self-service. So if you're not quite sure what you're looking for, hopefully that high-level category will give you enough information that you can find it. If you were to click on one of those categories, you get a quick look at all services. One thing I like that we did is we added a field called also known as. So I wouldn't know what Active Directory is, but I do know what BCD is because I log into it every day at work. So if I had a problem logging in, the first thing I would look for is BCD. And without that field, I probably wouldn't find it, or it would take me quite a long time to find it. So that extra feature to really have these buzzwords on campus for different programs is really going to help people find what they're looking for much faster. We also maintain the sidebar on the right because we want to keep it very consistent. And we also have a flag, that little red internal services only. So that will show if you have access to the record to read it, and it won't show if you don't have access, you don't even see the record at all. And the reason we implemented that is because this is used both within our organization and to the entire university. So if service owners or people within the organization came on and saw it and thought it was public, it would make it a little confusing. So we just added that extra feature there to be very clear with what services we're actually offering. So here's our marketing view of a service offering record. One cool thing we did this time is we got with our marketing team and to make a nice, more customer-friendly spin. I'm not a business service expert, so the information in the service offering records, although it is very thorough and detailed and has a lot of value, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me, and I would probably get bored and not read all of it. But having that customer layer to it, you're going to be more likely to read it and want to know more about the service. So what we did is we made a view for our marketing team of all of our service offering records and gave them all these custom fields where they would go in and write really customer-friendly, easy to bite-size, easy to understand language about the service so that you can right away get an idea of what you're ordering and what you're getting. They also did these images for us, which is nice because you come to the page and right away you know it's the Ohio State app, it's an app for your phone, there's no learning involved, and it's very clear. We also have a couple integrations with this page. The yellow button on the top right connects to our request catalog, which is our request items. So if you actually wanted to order this service, you could from this page. If this service had multiple items, it'll take you just to a list. You can pick from there. And if we haven't implemented that item yet, it'll just take you to a generic request. You can still get your service. The blue button on the bottom integrates with our system status page. We publish events and outages and degradations on campus. So if a service was to have an outage, we send out an occurrence email and a resolution email. And by subscribing to that service, you would get all those emails, which really helps keep users informed. Also with this page, we have a little bit below that about notifications. ServiceNow has a ton of out-of-the-box functionality that can really help personalize your experience, and we really wanted to shed light on that because most people don't realize how much you can really do. For example, subscribe to an SMS message. So by adding that there, any place we could, we really wanted to tie in all these cool features you can do and really get people more involved in their ServiceNow experience. So this is the top half of our system status page. This is pulled from the CI outage table. It's really the pulse of our organization and what's going on campus. Records are created through priority incidents, through a business rule. And they're also, you can create them manually as well. If we had a service that we don't manage, we wanted to tell campus about it, we also have that functionality enabled. It's really good to have this information published because it's really going to help your help desk. Because when you're in crisis mode, people want to know what's going on. They're always trying to contact and call in. Is it up yet? What are you doing? What's happening? And having this one site really helps to allow users to help themselves and feel more in control of what's going on and not feel so helpless. We also have the Notify Me resolution button here as well, except instead of subscribing to this service, you would subscribe to just this outage. So say I didn't want to learn about Carmen Connect all the time, but today it affects me, so I want to know today when it's going to be back online. If you scroll down, you get to our planned maintenance and our status history of the past 5 days. Our planned maintenance is triggered through our change workflow. So if any one of the services on the change is marked as having an outage, it'll fire a task to our communications team, and they'll put in a manual planned maintenance record. This is really good because dependent users can then plan their day accordingly. So if I know I have to do some work on PeopleSoft today, but PeopleSoft's going to be down from 3 to 5, I should probably do that in the morning so I can miss that window. So it's really good for us to publish that information and let people plan their day so they'll be more efficient. One thing with this page, it has a lot of information, especially if lots of events are happening. It can get very busy and very overwhelming. So we really wanted to be very consistent in our colors and language, so each piece uses the same kind of scheme, so you're going to have the same idea of what's going on. We also have a lot of legends, so you can see exactly what green is operational, red is service outage. Since we're a university, we have it's very important to have very high ADA standards. So when we first implemented this page, we only used color in those little bubbles, and that's it. And we ran it through our ADA testing. They were like, nope, you can't do that. Color isn't enough to convey your message. If someone was colorblind, they wouldn't be able to gather that there was an outage there. So to solve that problem, we combined both color, icon, and alt tags to very clearly say what is happening at this time for this service so that no one is left out and everyone has that great experience. If you were to click on any of those red links on the left, you would get a history of a service. So this shows on the top like a colorful look at the past 90 days, and the timeline below it shows any event that service has ever had. So this last year, our Carmen system, which is our learning manager system, it's the big control between our students and faculty for online content, so it shows them grades, and it's super crucial for day-to-day for students. So it went down hard for about 7 days, or 6 days. People were not happy at all. There was a whole hashtag like Carmageddon 2014 or something like that. So with that, we had over 44,000 views to this page, I think in one week or one day? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And over 5,000 people subscribed to the outage. You could also see screenshots of it on Twitter and Reddit. People were just freaking out. So we were really nervous to send out that outage email because we've never had even 1,000 messages in our outbox. But we sent it, handled just fine. They all went out, so that was nice. But it really shows the value of this page, that when you're in crisis mode and it's critical, people want to know what's going on, and they're going to get very frustrated if they can't. So luckily for us, we had it already implemented, and it worked out pretty well. Well enough, at least.
All right, so the last piece we did was analytics. We wanted to show, all right, is this thing valuable? What are people doing with it? So we implemented Google Analytics. It's free. It's really easy to implement. You can do it in a couple different ways. And all this data you're going to see is from July 17th, 2014 to April 5th, so what, 2 weeks ago? So you can see right there, that first table, operating systems and how many people use it. And the first four are what you would expect, right? Windows, Mac, iPhones, and Androids. So you can really, if you really want to, you just focus on those. You can also see we get some weird ones like PlayStation Vita. I don't, why would you do that, but okay.
And we still have one BlackBerry user.
Yeah, we do. That's Tracy.
Yeah.
That's funny. So next you can see page views by page style. So what pages are popular? What do we got? KB, obviously, is really big. System status is really big. Homepage, obviously, because that's where you go. Service catalog, and then order services from our request catalog. So those are our big top 5 from July 17th to April 5th. But if you change the date, maybe those things will switch in order, but Google Analytics really has a lot to offer. You can see down in the, what is it, bottom left, in that time period, so 9 months, we've had a little over 1 million page views, which is awesome. That's crazy. I didn't know people use it that much. And we really tried to take a page from Apple, and we tried to say, okay, get everything done in 3 pages. If it takes you more than 3 pages to get something done, it's too hard to redo it. So you can see we're averaging 2.34 pages per session. So people can get stuff done in 2.34 pages, which is awesome. That's crazy. Also, the average session duration, 1 minute 35, that professor going from class and he only has 15 minutes to do it, well, it only takes him 1 minute 35 to do whatever he wants on self-service. So that's really cool. That's awesome. So it's showing the value of what we did.
So this is just a quick look. It might be a little hard to read. Google doesn't use contrast, apparently. But it shows where self-service is being accessed around the world, which is kind of cool to see, just all the information Google Analytics actually gathers. And then if you zoom in on just the US, obviously our epicenter is Ohio, but there's still people around the country looking at it. It's kind of cool that it tracks that much information.
So the last part, lessons learned. This stuff Emily and I picked up while doing this. We started January, and we ended in July of 2014 doing this, and we only had 1 update set. That was bad.
Yeah.
We tried to move it, and it broke everything, and it was like over 500 lines of updates, and I was like, I'm not going through that. So we actually had to move it manually, and that took 5 hours.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
It was the worst exposure. So multiple update sets.
Do it.
In multiple updates. That way, if something breaks, you know what, and you don't have to go through like 20 lines instead of 500.
With that, ServiceNow has a pretty nice versioning system for content blocks. So if Jeff and I would share records, it can be very easy to overwrite things or lose data. So what is nice, though, you can revert from old versions or just pull out pieces of code. So you don't ever lose anything, which is definitely a lifesaver and came very much in handy.
We did a lot of testing. We tried to do a lot of testing. The first kind of rendition was just grabbing people in our vicinity, so a cubicle over, and saying, hey, go break this. How did you break it? So that helped. That was a nice first stab, I guess. And then we kind of upped our game and came up with a Word doc with a bunch of tasks on it, like go order this, go change that. And we gave it to our service desk, and they ran through it. And so they should be tech-savvy people. So it was really good feedback from them. And like Emily said, we have really strict ADA compliance. We went through our ADA compliance testing, and that gave us a lot of stuff. So if you feel the need to do that, just remember alt tags. It's much easier doing it before instead of going back and then putting it all in. So that really helped us out. And then lastly, we actually got with our marketing communications team, and they did a focus group with students. And that we're still going up about data, but it's already proving to be very, very useful. And lastly, some useful code. So ServiceNow does not like ampersands or less than's or any of that kind of stuff. It thinks it's code. So when you try and display a page in Jelly, it'll just be blank, just straight up blank. And Jelly doesn't give you any error codes or anything, so you'd be like, what's going on? So we found putting HTML colon in front of it really fixes that problem. It just treats that ampersand as a character instead of code, so it'll display just perfectly fine. The next is get display value. So this works for timestamps and for records. So it'll display time in your current time zone. So here, what, Mountain Time? And then back home for us, it would be Eastern. We had a little bit of an issue with system status and ServiceNow displaying it in UTC, and people were like, what is going on? So get display value is really helpful. And if you try and output a record, it'll spit out the sysid, and that's helpful to nobody. But if you put get display value, it'll find the display column and output whatever that is. Lastly, JS utils. ServiceNow has implemented a bunch of JavaScript utilities that are very, very helpful. So if I want to see if a string is instantiated or null or blank, I can just use jsutils.nil, it'll return a Boolean. So if you look at the wiki for JS utils, it's extremely helpful.
So our top takeaways that Jeff and I came up with were self-service is valuable both to your organization and to your customer and user base. Always design for mobile first. Definitely the future, and it's really want to have your main focus. And really integrate your customers' needs into your self-service. So what do they really need for functionality? Implement that first, and then do the fun stuff later. Thanks, guys. We have some time for questions. Well, the biggest thing, too, is we also redid our CMDB during that time. So our time was very much split for that. But we really focused very much so on making it pretty and not just functional. So that was really important to us.
That took forever.
Yeah, so that took a while because we're developers first and UI people second, I would say.
Yeah.
What did you do to market it to your employees and students?
I don't think we really did.
Oh,
what did we do to market it to our users? And, well, we're kind of the crux. Like, if a student needs MATLAB, let's say, we're the only place to get it for free. So they already know, like, to go there for that one thing. And then we thought, well, if we can make it pretty and everybody goes there anyway, well, they'll look around the site. So we didn't really do any marketing.
well, I think they have like signs on the buses, which actually is really useful. And our OCIO site for organization has some flashy pages for it. But I wouldn't say there's a ton just yet. That was kind of something we really would like to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, so that happened before I came along for the first rendition. I don't think a lot of people really, yeah.
The question was.
Oh, sorry. The question was, how did you migrate from going to that PHP form to a CMS site, right? So I don't think the mobile form had I don't know what the metrics are as far as use, but we did the same kind of thing where we published that we had this new site to go to on our OCIO site and our OSU site. So I would say, again, very, very minimal.
Yeah.
You guys talked about social media, some of it with the KP articles. I was just wondering, do you have people on social media looking so that if a student posts like, hey, the internet's down in this norm, are y'all responding and giving feedback to that? Like, what's your social media presence?
So the question is, what's our social media presence? Are we looking to actively to see if students are saying, hey, my internet's down? With our OCIO, we have a couple. We have like OSUs, and then we have our organizations.
Yes, the
which is
tech one, yeah.
Yeah, tech one.
Yeah. I know the Twitter does. The Twitter does respond. As far as the Facebook, I'm not sure what they do for that.
I don't know last time that thing was updated. I don't know. But for Twitter, definitely. We're definitely
Twitter's
crawling,
definitely,
and our marketing communications team is very much into Twitter and that kind of social media thing.
Do you have an IT marketing?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And a university one above that
Right.
too. So they're both doing it. Twitter more than Facebook, I would say. So the question is, are there multiple locations for our person-to-person help desk? We actually just opened a second one, Tech Hub, One's in Thompson Library, and then I'd say about a mile away is Tech Hub. Correct, yes. So we actually developed an Android application that signs on to ServiceNow and submits tickets that way. So it's all, it's all automated.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are separate queues. I can check in mobily for both places. I can see the wait time for both places. So we're actually working on implementing. So if I checked in at one place and it's an hour wait and it's 5 minutes at the other place, I'll just walk to the other place and sign in, and the record will switch over.
Yeah.
That's solely done by the user checking in. There's not a check-in person there.
Right, only the user checking in at the kiosk, the Android kiosk.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So the click to call or the web chat, those are,
The chat is through CIC, which is what our service desk wanted, so that's what we went with. And then the click to call just uses your native phones.
it's just a link. It's just an
link
A tag.
Dial, yeah.
So
What was the question too?
so how does the requested callback queue up with the service desk? Right now, it submits a record to the service desk saying, so that brings you to a form, and it just has your name and your number and what kind of generally, what do you want to talk about? So that submits a contact record, or what does ServiceNow call it?
Oh, yeah.
Ours is
a
unique.
call record.
A call record,
Yeah,
that's right.
that's what ServiceNow calls it, yeah.
So it submits a call record to our service desk saying, hey, this person submitted this ticket, call them back as soon as you can. We really want to integrate that with CIC and put it actually in the call queue to call back. But that's kind of future state.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Have you seen a change in how your students are asking questions? Are they still phone calling or walking in, or are they more using the self-help and finding answers themselves? Has your mobile presence changed the way questions come to you?
I would say students definitely go to KB and like to help themselves first.
Oh, yeah.
Faculty will still call, generally.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell our call volume because our OCIO is our organization, and we keep taking on other help desks. We're kind of fragmented at OSU, so we keep taking on other help desks. So it's very hard to get that call metric because naturally our calls are going to increase. Web chat is definitely booming. There's a lot of web chat that I've noticed. As Emily said, KB articles. You can see with Google Analytics how many people are actually going to KB articles, and you can see there's a lot. Like KB's was our top page for page views, so you can really see the value through that too.
Long story short, it's hard to tell for call volume because we're still so expanding.
Yeah, but I like to think that students are kind of using the system and then asking a question. So like our person-to-person help desk, they're doing mobile check-ins now. They're figuring out, oh, I can check in mobily and then walk over, or get in line mobily, go to class, and then go to the person-to-person help desk. So it's slowly catching on, but it's always going to be slow because we don't have we can't reach out to every single student and say, hey, read this email, because I know as a student I hated reading emails, so I'm not going to do it. So it's a little hard, but it's slowly catching on.
So like flash files? I know we have flash files in our KB, and those are kind of hard. We tried putting, what was it?
Well, we want to, yeah. So putting videos in our KB articles and stuff. ServiceNow is going to implement HTML5 here soon, and HTML5 has native video support, which I'm super pumped about. It's going to be awesome. So it's going to be a lot easier to do that video embedding in there. I think you can do it now, but I don't know if it resizes well or does.
It won't host, ServiceNow won't host anything, either MPEG or
MP4.
Yeah. Gotta go? Okay. So I think that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody, if you could exit through this door.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't know this was a session.